right. Some people had asked about drinking water, rainwater collection, all that stuff. Well, case in point, I'm definitely no expert, but the little off-the-grid thing, what I've basically done, the gutter system's actually pretty good, has a really fine level of, you can't really see it on top, but it filters any kind of small sediment. Then I set a couple of rain barrels up that basically, and again, it's gotten full of some leaves, but there's netting in here, there's rocks, need to clean that out. But, so you basically have one rainwater. Okay, it's gonna collect some dirt and stuff. It then gets filtered, comes through here, gets filtered again, goes into the stock tank. These you can get Amazon, eBay. Amazon, I think, is the Miriam barrel. Basically, they're really heavy-duty olive barrels from Italy that they've kind of cleaned up and repurposed for rain collection, and did a nice metal spout. And then basically what I have here is an overflow just to make this one, see, to make sure there's enough tension here, so when this basically fills up, it'll then fill both of these up. And honestly, you can tell, literally, it takes almost no rain before they're all four of them are full. And then I've got two more on that end. So roughly speaking, what is that? That's 220 gallons of water. Now, for the most part, people could say, hey, I don't know about drinking this, man. Even though it's rainwater, and I mean, I should grab the little cup, but I mean, it's totally clear looking. So you're like, well, that can be deceiving. 100% agree. I go ahead and stock tank defense, drop half of one of these tablets in here every couple of months. And again, what is this? All natural beneficial bacteria, specifically formulated for stock tanks. Basically keeps them clean, healthy, and clear, so you don't get any kind of algae, any of that kind of stuff growing on it. And it does say on here, note to self, that it's safe for your dogs, all livestock, cattle, horses, everything. It doesn't go quite so far as to say humans. So, I think it's probably would be fine. And again, like I said, you can kind of see there. I mean, it's clear as can be. You will see at the very bottom though, where it does get a little bit of sediment. Again, I think for washing clothes, for anything like that, washing your dishes, I think it's fine. But to make it just a little bit safer, that's where the Berkey comes in to play. And in the previous video, I was priming it, which basically, like I explained in that video, all it basically means is these filters pretty much getting set up enough, to where you've got them soaked and then you've gotten water pulling through this. Because what it ends up doing, it does look like overkill, is you're gonna have the two filters here, and these Berkey filters are a little pricey, but hey, you get what you pay for. And then you can literally get pond water. I mean, you can get the most nasty water, and up to 6,000 gallons before you have to replace these two filters. What was I gonna say? I know they said that it'll even work on salt water, but the filters won't last as long because it's going to collect a lot more sediment. But basically, what I'm going to do, I haven't done it right now. Here, maybe I'll do another video. I'm going to install these. Hold tight. All right. Now you can see filters are in place. And what basically happens is you fill the water up and it's got nowhere to go except for through those two big filters. And then it will slowly trickle out here, nice clean water. And the kicker is, these Berkeys are kind of expensive. So I think I got like the medium size one. You can get a much bigger one, but it's kind of expensive. Obviously I'll just set that on top of there. and then this fills up. 2.5 gallons, you're like, oh, that's not much. But what I basically end up using it for, you can buy these at Walmart, Lowe's, anywhere. That's an alternative. Just take those in and refill them, or just refill them yourself. You can see I've got a couple in here. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it's easier just to run by Lowe's and just trade out water. But also then that kind of makes it not quite totally self-sufficient. And again, here's another set of the filters. This is a knockoff version. Supposedly, all the reviews said they were just as good. And Berkey, it's like, first of all, it's less than half the price of Berkey. Also, these are actually Berkey, but what was I gonna say? But Berkey's always out of stock too. It seems like it's like, oh yeah, we're out of stock. Check back later. I forgot what this one is. American filter. It says it's certified Berkey and all that stuff, but who knows? But all the reviews seem to be pretty good. I'm not vouching for any of them, but yeah, basically, no point in me showing it. But I'm going to take the big barrel, fill this up, let it drain down here. This is a 5 gallon, so it'll take 2 of these, and I mean, it should be completely clean, filtered water. And that is, a person could say, man, that's too much work. That's a good point. But again, I mean, well, sorry, you probably shouldn't go off grid if you didn't want some work. The other thing that I have done, that is, I think that's a 35 gallon tank. I just put it up there higher so I could get some gravity. This though is set up to pretty much withstand everything. And if I put water in there and it was literally, I think it said like 20 years later, the water is totally fine. There's a UV protection, the whole 9 yards. So you could fill this up and now you have 35 gallons of absolutely treated water. Yes, it would take you a couple hours of work going from barrel to Berkey to that, but I mean 35 gallons of clean water, that's quite a bit for drinking purposes, unless you have a small army out here. And as far as showers and everything go, I just use the rainwater out of the barrel. It's clean enough, and I mean, I'm still here, so that's that is the lowdown on one easy way to make sure you are in good shape for water. All right, last snapshot, because I know people will ask. You can see now it's full. It basically is going through these 2 filters. You can get some added filters, I think, to take out, what is it, fluoride and some other thing. That's about the only thing. The filters will take out everything except fluoride, I think it is, if that's something that worries you. But you can kind of, maybe you can hear it. Anyway, basically, I can't really, I'm gonna have hands here. You can basically lift this top part off, and those 2 filters are just kind of going drop, 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 drop. So it's probably gonna take, I forgot what it said. It's been a while since I've done this. It seems like it was about an hour, and then this will be mostly empty. There'll still be a very little at the bottom because the filter is, it's about this much above the bottom, so it can't filter that through until you then refill it again. But then this will be full, 2.5 gallons. I can then empty it into here if I want, repeat the process. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Some people have asked how this Berkey filter thing works, or forget Berkey, just how are you sure, being totally off the grid, that your water is clean? Okay, good question. Here is a typical filter. This one is Berkey. We're gonna prime it here, which all that means is it just has to be, pretty much have water run through it. Oh, look at that. And that just means having the filter in water so that it is completely, for lack of a better word, soaked through, so that when the water hits it in the actual filter, it will pass through it. And with the Berkey filter, just using that as an example, not promoting it or anything, but yeah, you can pretty much get pond water, any kind of water, pass it through these filters that I'll show here in just a second, and it will, I think these go through about 6,000 gallons, so that's pretty good. It's going to take a while to drink 6,000 gallons, and keep in mind the tap water that we always talk about being so USDA healthy, etc. Well, Arkansas doesn't do that because they're not required to, but Missouri does when we live there, and it's crazy because they have to send us once a year all the details of the water, and it's funny, they put a little disclaimer: if you're really young or really old or sick, you probably shouldn't drink it because it has so much arsenic. Yeah, arsenic, really. Crazy, right? A little bit excessive levels of fluoride, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, tap water, because they have to put so much chlorine and everything in it, yeah, it's not as healthy as you think. But that's why it tastes like pool water a lot of times. But anyway, I'm not some weird whatever. Yes, I grew up on well water, but I've got no problem with tap water if it just doesn't taste too much like it's coming straight out of a pool. But yeah, it's just funny the things you know when people say, well, I just don't trust this filtered water with this Berkey or whatever. I'm going to go with the good old tap water. Well, actually, if I took straight creek or pond water and ran it through one of these filters, believe it or not, it's actually better than tap water. Again, just food for thought. And now we'll go to next steps.